It's a boomtown story for the post-industrial age. In half a century, Orange County has been transformed from orchards and ranches into a diverse metropolis teeming with people, culture, and businesses. How did it happen? Well, a leading corporate citizen has written the story. That's next on Inside OC. Inside OC is brought to you by 5 Point. 5 Point is an independent real estate development company with assets under management across California. 5 Point is a proud sponsor of public television and community programming.
Memorial Care is transforming the way healthcare is delivered, keeping our communities and businesses healthy by guiding them on the path to wellness with easily accessible hospitals, physician offices, and outpatient centers. Memorial Care, leading the way.
Hi, I'm Rick Reiff. Welcome to Inside OC. Well, a lot of things changed after World War II, and few things changed more than Orange County. The sleepy outpost of Los Angeles, known mostly for orange groves and rugged coastline, is today a world-class metropolis and an economic engine for the state of California. How did it all happen? Well, one of Orange County's most notable corporate citizens has written the story, and he's here to discuss it. Joining me, entrepreneur, venture capitalist, hedge fund manager, and philanthropist, Chuck Martin. Chuck, great to have you on.
Great to be here, Rick.
And here is your book. Talk about a labor of love. This is like this. Yeah. This weighs a lot, more than a bread box.
7 pounds.
7 pounds, 400 plus pages. It's a tremendous compendium. You've got a picture of Jim Gennard, the inventor of Oakley sunglasses, without his sunglasses on. Yeah. It's the first time I've seen him without his sunglasses. It's a worthy effort just for that, I think. But this is really a great summary of the whole business history of Orange County. So, why did you write this book?
Well, it got started in a strange sort of way. Larry Bridges, that has the Orange County Business Journal, LA, San Diego, and the like.
I think I know him.
Yeah, I think you know him. You worked for him for a long time. He asked me at one point to write an op-ed article on the business history of Orange County. He said, "You've been here since 1960. You've seen so much. Would you write an op-ed article on it?" So he told me op-ed articles can't be more than 800 words. I said, "Larry, there is no way I can write it for 800 words. He says, "Well, write a damn book then."
And you have.
And so that kind of got it started.
So 800 words turned into 400 pages.
And I think, made me realize that, the story of Orange County needed to be put on the record. And so many of the great people that helped create the fabulous community we have here are getting up there in age. Some of the history is becoming lost, and it was time that we, put together a great book to put it on record of how this whole marvelous community we have would develop.
Give us an idea, because like in 1950, the population was 200,000. It's 15 times that now.
Yeah,
it's 3 million.
3.2.
The explosion was impressive.
Just after World War I, it was only 100,000. World War II, it was only 100,000. Yeah. And so it's just incredible. And I think one of the interesting things is that Orange County is populated mostly by people who came here. That immigration and migration process to Orange County created a different kind of people inhabiting the county. These were go-getters, people who were willing to make a change in their life, where most of them were very entrepreneurial and well-educated, and became a fuel for the big economic engine that Orange County's become today.
And we're going to get into that entire story and describe how this boom of people and businesses came about.
But I think the other thing, in addition to population, is people don't realize how big the Orange County economy is. When asked, what's the top economy in the state of California, people naturally say LA. When asked what's the second biggest, they'll say San Francisco, Silicon Valley, San Diego. They don't really. Orange County is the second largest economy in the state in spite of its small size.
In fact, bigger than all but, a couple dozen nations.
Yeah, nations and over half of the states in the United States. I mean, it's a huge economy.
You're just not an observer writing about this. You've been a participant in all this. You're an investor. You're a venture capitalist. You're one of these guys that you have created companies. You invest in companies. That's right.
Yeah. From a very earliest. I mean, I came here. It's interesting to look back at how the Orange County economic engine got started. So, after World War II. We entered into the Cold War era, and the big defense electronics companies and aerospace companies located huge operations here. And they started recruiting talent from all across the nation, engineering talent mainly, and brought them to Orange County. So you had Hughes, you had Autonetics Division of North America, and you had Aeroneutronics, you had McDonnell Douglas Astro Division. You had all these here. They were bringing engineering talent in here. I was one of those that got recruited out of a little town in Ohio at Ohio State to come here. But Don Beal was recruited to come here, who eventually ran Rockwell International, a Fortune 50 company that was headquartered here for many years. People like Shelley Raisin that built Quality Systems, a big software company, and many, many others. And that became a fuel for starting a lot of companies in the early days of Orange County.
So let's talk a little bit about Chuck Martin, who came here, the engineer who came here along with others, because now you are an accomplished, world famous in some circles as an investor and an entrepreneur, a philanthropist. I'm sure you plead guilty to being well entrenched in the 1%. But your beginnings, let's take a look. Here's a photo. Here's a photo of you, and what are we looking at here? This almost looks like one of those Depression era photos.
Yeah, well, it kind of was. This is vintage 1945. I was, 7, 8 years old. My family, my brother.
Are you the little guy in the photo?
No, that's my little brother. Right. I had a brother who was
you're the
younger.
bigger kid in the photo.
I'm the bigger kid there, and we lived in this little, less than 800 square foot house on the wrong side of the town, and there was a junkyard on one side and an abandoned house on the other, and a railroad tracks running right in the big. It was pretty humble beginnings when you think about it.
Now, I'm looking, it looks like there's 2 cars there. I mean, so that would suggest, wow, you had 2 cars.
No, we have one. The other one was in the junkyard.
No kidding.
It was in the junkyard. So,
wow.
So it was, but I had a loving family, and good values and good Midwest values. And I think that ended up being a huge asset to me through life.
And it was an interesting story you tell in the book, that you were you took an IQ test when you were going into high school, and you were so off the charts that the teacher talked to your folks about it, and hey, you've got a special kid. And how did your dad react?
Well, my dad was a humble man, and he said, Chuck, nobody likes a smart kid, so you should sit in the back of the class and don't answer questions. Just be kind of a normal kid.
And did you follow his advice?
I did. Yeah, I did.
You did. At some point, you must have decided, I can express an opinion.
Yeah, I did. I mean, it was an evolution. I was introverted in the beginning, and being a techie sort of guy, that was it. But when I started my first company, I found I really had to become more of a people person. I had to get out. I had to sell, which was very uncomfortable for me to do that. But I had to learn those skills.
You graduated from Ohio State with something like 5 degrees,
majors, and
5 majors, and this wasn't like the easy stuff.
Well, there were the easy ones: physics, mathematics, chemistry, electrical engineering, and one in business. So.
And 5, and you said you never had a date.
No, I never. I couldn't afford a cup of coffee for a girl, and I had no time. I worked 2 jobs all the time I was going through college, not just summers when I was going through. So and had a heavy academic load. So I was a busy guy. And besides that, I didn't know one from another with girls, and I was afraid of them. So that ended up being an advantage. I didn't get married early.
But it has a happy ending for you.
Yes, it has a very happy ending.
Yes, and we should mention your wife, Twyla, is one of the noted philanthropists in Orange County.
And she's just an extraordinary woman of all dimensions. So become a life partner for me. So
okay, let's get into this book, this story that you've told, and let's look at some of the key people. We're going to have some more vintage photos here. And this first one is Arnold O. Beckman. Tell us about Arnold Beckman.
Well, Arnold Beckman was on the faculty at Caltech, and he invented the pH meter and started a little company in 1935, and he started in Orange County. I mean, he was Caltech in Pasadena, but he started his company here in Orange County, and that company, Beckman Instruments, became a huge success, and he became one of the great philanthropists. I mean, the giving back that Arnold Beckman has done has touched the lives of so many people.
Right, and it's really kind of from him that a lot of these threads, and you do a great job of documenting just the whole networking that went on. But he was one of the beginnings of the tech culture in Orange County.
Yeah.
Here's another gentleman, Lowell Edwards.
Yeah.
Tell us about Lowell Edwards.
Lowell Edwards was the guy that invented the heart valve, the first heart valve, which saved the lives of hundreds of thousands of people. But he was a fluid mechanics engineer, and he had developed a valve for fighter aircraft when they had to make quick turns and banks, so they need high technology fluid mechanics valves to do that. But then after the World War II ended, there was a little demand for it. And a cardiac surgeon that he knew said, hey, maybe this would work in the heart.
Something that goes into an airplane, we're going to put in a human body. And we're looking at a picture of it right now, and it's almost unbelievable. He started with dogs or what? How did they do that?
I started with dogs and pretty quickly got it into humans. And it really, it began the whole cardiac surgery industry. He was the forerunner of that. And as we know now, we have Edwards Life Sciences, which is the premier company in the world in that. But Lowell Edwards himself was not a very good manager and not very good with people. And he really, anyone else that had an idea, if it wasn't his idea, it didn't fly. So there was a group of engineers that spun out and formed companies. Don Shiley formed Shiley Labs, which was an improvement on the mechanical valve that Edwards had. Warren Hancock did the porcine valve. Jim Bentley solved the problem of having blood circulating outside the body so they could do long-term open heart surgeries. And then there were, half a dozen other companies that spun out of that. And then Edwards, for a long time, kind of struggled because all these other companies were doing well. And then Mike Mausoleum came in, and he, for 20 years, had done a fabulous job of building that back into a preeminent company in the world.
So that company still in Orange County with Edwards' name, and really Orange County, the center of this, the whole heart valve business.
That the cardiovascular business.
So many lives. Let's take a look at another gentleman, Gavin Herbert.
Yeah. This
is Gavin Herbert Jr. Tell us about him.
Well, there's an interesting story on that. I mean, his dad owned a pharmacy in downtown LA, and they developed these little eye drop things for it. His dad was only interested in the pharmacy, and Gavin was interested in the med, and so he ended up picking up the ball and ended up developing it, moving to Orange County. He bought this wonderful piece of land that we all know.
We're talking about the company Allergan.
Allergan, so he started Allergan and built that into to a very successful ophthalmology medical company. And then his name is on the Gavin Herbert Eye Institute that's here.
Gavin's still with us, still going strong.
Still going strong, great guy. And the company, he recruited David Pyatt to come in.
Right.
I think we've been very fortunate in Orange County to have some terrific CEOs. So Pyatt ran Allergan for about 20 years.
Right.
And the value of it multiplied tenfold. And they expanded into some other areas. But, Allergan was kind of central in a way to an ecosystem in the eye care arena. And there are now, I would say, at least 20 innovative companies in eye care in Orange County as a result of that.
Right. And I will get back to Allergan and Broadcom, but speaking of Broadcom, let's take a look at another picture here. These are the two Henrys, if you will, Henry Samueli and Henry Nicholas Broadcom. What's the significance of their company?
Well, I think when I look at, and maybe we talk a little bit more about this, when I look at the drivers of success for many of the Orange County companies, innovation was a very, very big aspect of it. And with Broadcom, the innovation was in developing semiconductor technology to allow mobile devices to access the internet. So if you are on your cell phone or on an iPad or whatever, and you get an email, you do a text, you do Google search, all that, it used to be very costly, but they reduced it to something very practical and inexpensive that could go in these devices. And it's amazing that only 1 in 1,000 transactions of that kind do not go through a Broadcom chip worldwide. I mean, it's an amazing thing. And they also pioneered digital television, the technology to drive digital television we all enjoy today. So,
and I know your book gets into the relationship that Orange County has with San Diego and with Los Angeles. And this, the Henrys were great examples of that because they were both professors of engineering at UCLA.
That's correct,
Okay. Let's take a look at a very special woman in your book. And I don't think anybody has ever quite highlighted her the way you do in this book, and it's certainly worth mentioning. Joan Irvine Smith. She, of course, is an heiress of the Irvine Company. She's known nowadays as perhaps sometimes a bit of a cantankerous environmentalist, and she's the heiress. But she did two things that you say were absolutely essential to shaping the Orange County we have today. Explain that.
I think it's interesting in the history of any community to look at kind of turning points that made a difference in where that community ended up. And certainly the first of them was back when the Irvine Company needed to be sold. This was a time when new laws came in on charity. Is owned by a foundation, and the foundation wasn't giving away very much money, but they had to, under the new law, give 5% away. So, and it led to the sale of it. There was a handshake deal that was brokered by the then chairman of big Orange County company, Fluor, to have Mobil Oil buy the Irvine Company. If you think about what Orange County would have turned out to be if a big oil company had owned the heart of the county, I mean, it would have been not a good outcome, and especially these days with oil companies being in trouble. Instead, Joan really, as a Iron Lady activist, inserted herself in it and just, almost embarrassed the board into opening that up into a competitive thing. She got connected with an investment banker in New York. He connected her with Taubman in in Michigan, a big developer in Michigan, and Henry Ford III, and they put together a syndicate bid to compete with Mobil Oil.
And one of the people in that syndicate was a home builder named Donald Bren.
That's right.
And the rest is history. Bren eventually took over. So you're saying that that decision by her, that's why we have the Irvine Company and the great master planning instead of Mobil Oil, which who knows what it would be today.
Yeah, and I think Don Bren certainly has been a great steward of the land and one of the, a masterful planner for the community and developer. And, we all enjoy a better community here because of the wisdom that he has brought to the table and the development there.
You said the second thing was that she was pivotal in the grant of land by the Irvine Company to the University of California to form UCI.
Correct.
Explain that. What role did she play in that?
Well, the University of California was looking to form another campus, and William Pereira had suggested the Irvine Ranch was a good location for it. They approached the Irvine Company for that, and the chairman of the Irvine Company at that time said, essentially, no way in hell are we going to give that money to the big university. They wanted to keep all the land there. And Joan, again, activists saw wisely what it would do for the whole community and for the Irvine Ranch itself to have a major research university right here in the center of the county.
And you've pointed out the importance of that you have to have a major, for Orange County or any center to be a leader in business, you have to have a great university.
Yeah, a great research university in it. And she's conducted a PR campaign. She was an activist. She made them so uncomfortable that they eventually capitulated and gave the land.
Okay. You talk about giving back in the book, and explain that. Why, I think people see these folks, you've made a lot of money, all these business people have made a lot of money, and that's what it's all about, making money. Explain what the giving back is about.
I think it's an interesting cycle in life that I've observed, and certainly here in Orange County, we don't have any old family money here. All the money here, all the wealth has been generated by people who did creative things, added to the economy, created jobs, and built great companies. So, and along with that came, high level of wealth. And as I watch these individuals go through this and start to develop some liquidity in their ownership, so many of them have really stepped up to, I say give back, but through philanthropy, contribute to help make the county a better place. And they have contributed certainly in the institutions in Chapman and in UC Irvine. They contribute in the arts organizations. They contribute in the medical community here in Hogue and other places. And it's not, these are not people who are comfortable just writing checks. They get personally involved, and they use what they have learned and their wisdom to help guide these institutions to a better place.
How about the folks, though, who say, Chuck, why let the government do it? Just tax the rich. Let the government collect that money. Why should it be left up to you to decide where you want to put your money? Have the government take it and give it where it's needed.
The government is never very good at that, as I think we all know. And it's interesting also, you look back at Orange County, how were cities formed? Cities, you look at Santa Ana, Fullerton, Anaheim, Tustin. You look at these cities were not formed by government. They were formed by people that owned the land. James Fullerton said, "Oh, I have this land here. There ought to be a town here." He laid out the streets. He did all this stuff. Spurgeon did the same with Santa Ana. And these guys were activists. Spurgeon and
unfortunately, we're out of time, Chuck, and I did
okay.
want, just before we sign off, gosh, we could go on, and I will urge folks to go to our open mic because we'll continue our discussion. But anyone who's interested in this book, it's as I said, a labor of love, not cheap. Where you're seeing the email address right now, or the website address where you can go to get it, and it's $75. And it's a limited edition. It's not available anywhere except on the website, and so folks can find out more about it. But it sounds like a lot of money, but you're saying it actually costs you more than that to do.
Not counting my own time, my hard money cost for it is $110
All right, so
a
this
copy. So I need an MBA course.
Great. So Chuck Martin subsidized, and I'm getting a copy. I'll tell you that. This is it is a great book for anybody who wants to know about the history of Orange County. So anyway, again, I'd like to thank my guest, Chuck Martin. That's it for now. You can watch this show and past shows by going to pbssocal.org or rickreiff.com. Also catch our shows and our post-show open mic chatter coming right up on YouTube. And follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again on Inside OC. Inside OC is brought to you by 5 Point. 5 Point is an independent real estate development company with assets under management across California. 5 Point is a proud sponsor of public television and community programming.